Welcome to discussion of CSIR 15 December 2019 question papers linear algebra part. We will give you question as well as solution. So today our heading is CSIR December 15th 2019 questions and solutions of linear algebra and matrices, although matrices are included in it. We will start with part B. After all questions of part B are discussed, then we will enter into part C. In part B, the first question is question number 3, and that question I will write for you. Question number 3 is let A equals to 205 1 2 3 minus 1 5 1. The system of linear equation, the system of linear equation or equations x equals to y has a solution number 1 only for y equals to 1 0 0, or rather it is x 0 0, x belonging to R. Second, only for capital Y equals to 0 y 0, where y belongs to R. Third, only for y equals to 0 0 z, where z belongs to R. And lastly, for all y belonging to R3. These are your 4 options. Now let us have its solution. If A is non-singular matrix, then for any y here, x equals to y must have unique solution. Forget about solution, it will be unique solution, guaranteed. So my first duty in this solution is to find determinant of A. If it is non-zero, it will be non-singular. So for any capital Y given, x equals to y will have unique solution. Now determinant of A is equal to determinant of 205 1 2 3 minus 1 5 1, and that is 2 into 2 minus 15 minus 13, 0 gone, plus 5 into 5 minus minus 2, that is 7. and that is 35 minus 26, that is 9, which is non-zero, which implies A is non-singular matrix. So, for all y belonging to R3, Ax equals to y has unique solution. Happy with this? So fourth option is correct. So your correct option is option number 4. Because they are having only for. This is for every y belonging to R3. I hope there is no doubt in it. Then your next question is question number 5. Now let us move to the next question. Come to question number 5. To read the question because they are very small. Question number 5. It is let M4R be the space of all four by four matrices over R. Four by four is put in the bracket in the question paper. Further, let capital W equals to Eij. That means it is matrix belonging to M4R such that sigma I plus j equals to k of Eij equals to 0 for k equals to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. Then dimension of W is your options are 7, 8, 9, 10. Watch this. After you have written the question, now go for the solution. How many non-trivial entries are in general matrix of order 4? It is 4 by 4, 16. But over them, there are restrictions that sigma Eij equals to 0 if I plus j is equal to k. And k varies from 2 to 8. Now I plus j equals to 2 implies Ij is equal to 1, 1. Are you happy? I plus j equals to 3. This will give you only two cases. 1, 2, 2, 1. I plus j equals to 4. That will give you three cases. That is 1, 3, 2, 2, and 3, 1. Are you happy? How many restrictions? One restriction. Two restriction. What is the restriction? If you are in dilemma, restriction is A11 equals to 0. What is restriction for this? A12 plus A21 equals to 0. Each time new variables are appearing. What are restrictions for them? A13 plus A22 plus A31 equals to 0. Each time new places are coming. So they are independent restrictions. And how many times you will write in examination hall? Do not waste your time, please. I plus j equals to 8 means ij, that will take value 1726 up to 71. How many cases? 7 cases. Are you happy with this? So we have equation number 1, equation number 2, equation number 3, and last will give you equation number 7. Seventh equation is A17 plus A26 plus so on, A71 equals to 0. Here also you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases. Fine. But how to show independent? That's why I have written that, see, each time new variables are appearing, new places are appearing. So they are independent equations. Are you happy? So give me a space after you have understood this, because I will write a very simple thing now. Subspace W of M4R has 7 linearly independent restrictions. All are independent. Each time new ordered tuples are appearing in subscript. So dimension of W, that will be dimension of M4R minus number of linearly independent restrictions. That is equal to 4 square, which you means it is 16 minus. Seven restriction I could have counted from here. Explanation is given to show you that they are linearly independent. And we are not interested in restriction. We are interested in linearly independent restriction. So dimension is 9. So your correct option is option number 3. See this. I hope you will be enjoying this. Then we will have our next question. Working rule should be rock solid. Now your next question is question number 7. Yes, question number 7. Come to it. It is let V be a vector space of dimension 3. Vector space of dimension 3 over R. Let T from V to B, let T from V to B be a linear transformation. Given by the matrix A. Equals to 1, 1, minus 2, minus 1, minus 4, 5, 0, 3, minus 3. With respect to an ordered basis, and ordered basis V1, V2, V3 of V, then which of the following statements is true? Number 1, T V3 equals to 0, first option. Second, T V1 plus V2 equals to 0. Next, T V1 plus V2 plus V3 equals to 0. Fourth, T V1 plus V3 equals to T V2. To solve each of them, you require to find transformed value of V1, V2 and V3. So question is over. Now come to the solution part. I hope you are safe up to this position. Now this is the matrix of linear transformation. So do you know what will happen? T of V1, V2, V3 with respect to ordered basis is given as this. So T V1, T V2 and T V3 their coordinate with respect to V1, V2, V3 is 1, 1, minus 2, minus 1, minus 4, 5 and 0, 3, minus 3. I hope you must be confident. T V1 will be this much times of V1, this much times of V2 plus this much times of V3. Any doubt? Coordinate of T beta 1, already taught everything. So T V1 is V1 plus V2 minus V3. I hope there is no trouble. T V2 is minus V1 plus, it is minus 4 V2 plus 3 V3. No, it is 5. No trouble. T V3 equals to 0 times of V1 plus 3 times of V2 and minus 3 times of V3. I hope you are fine. This one has been incorrectly written. It is minus 2 V3. 1, 1, minus 2 times, minus 1, minus 4, 5 times, 0, 3, 3 times. But the person who is very efficient in calculation can say that sum of these three is equal to 0. And here after writing you can see that t v1 plus v2 plus v3, as t is a linear transformation, so this will be t v1 plus t v2 plus t v3. As t is a linear transformation. But what are their sum? 0, 0, 0. So that is equal to 0. You can evaluate anything, but if you are punctual, you can directly say from the matrix that see 1, 1, minus 2, their sum is 0, their sum is 0, their sum is 0. Directly write that TV1 plus TV2 plus TV3 will sum to 0. Save your time in examination hall, please. So here third option is correct. But without writing anything on the question paper or on rough page, you can say that their sum is 0. So T of V1 plus V2 plus V3 is 0. Are you happy? Now come to the next question. First let me wrap this. Next question is question number 8. Let me mark that question. Question number 8. Yes. It is let C01 be the space of continuous real valued functions, which you already know, continuous real valued functions on 0, 1. Define this f and g, its proxy inner product, that is integral 0 to 1 ft into zt square dt. Usual inner product is ft into gt dt. For all fg belonging to C01. Then which of the following statements is true? Then which of the following statements is true? Number 1. This is an inner product on C01. Second, this is a bilinear form but is not an inner product. On also you write. But not an inner product on C01. This is not a bilinear form. Third one is not a bilinear form on C01. Last is that FF is greater than or equal to 0 for all f belonging to C01. After writing the question, just enjoy your work. See the question first. Now let us start our solution. It is to be tested that whether it is inner product or not. Properties of inner product you know. That is conjugate symmetry property, linearity property and non-negativity property. Now see the first property. I am starting my solution. By the definition, inner product of GF, that is equal to integral 0 to 1 GT into FT whole square dt. Fine. Because GT will come first and second one will have its square. Now over real, no need to take conjugate. This and its conjugate both are same. And this is not equal to inner product of FG. Happy with this? So, this is not inner product. So this is an inner product, first option gone. Fine. One option is also that FF is greater than or equal to 0. If you want to see, you can see. What is FF? That is integral 0 to 1 FT whole cube dt. And do you know, continuous function, its whole cube can be negative also. For example, if I take continuous function ft equals to minus t, then minus t whole cube, its integration will become negative. So, this is not greater than or equal to 0 for all f. From where contradiction? Contradiction is over. Ft equals to minus t. Very good continuous function. Its integration will be minus 1 by 4. So this one is gone. Give me a space. So I hope these steps are okay. Now we have to check about bilinear form. Bilinear, you know. From both sides it should be linear. Now let me write inner product of f ag1 plus bg2. Because from left side it is linear. From right side it is not linear, it is quadratic. So in examination hall just cancel it. It is not bilinear. Here I am testing it. This by the definition will be integral 0 to 1 f into ag1 plus bg2 whole square. Are you happy? Any doubt? Now see, I have limited space. Now, inner product of f g1, that will be integral 0 to 1 f into g1 square dt. dt also you write. Then f g2, that is integral 0 to 1 f into g2 square dt. Do you know, if you multiply this by a, multiply this by b, then it will be a times of this plus b times of this. But here it is a square times b square times plus one more term, twice ab. Now a f g1 plus b f g2, that is equal to a times of integral 0 to 1 f g1 square plus b times of integral 0 to 1 f g2 square, this much dt. Please, in examination hall, don't waste time. Just write that this is not equal to a times of f g1 plus b times of f g2. I hope you are pleased. So this is not bilinear form. So this is not bilinear form, that is correct, and this is incorrect because it is telling that it is a bilinear form. And I hope conceptually you are thorough. Then I will move to the next question. In examination hall, directly tell that one of the factor is not linear, it is quadratic, so ignore it. It will be never bilinear. Here I am showing you. There you can save your time. Now next question is question number 9. Come to the next question. Question number 9. For a quadratic form, in 3 variables over R, let small r be the rank, let small r be the rank and small s be the signature. The number of possible pairs RS is, how many possible ordered pairs of rank and signature are there? That is asked. Number 1. Watch this. Options are 13, 9, 10, and lastly 16. These are your 4 options. Now let us have our solution. three variables are there. So rank and signature, they are dependent on number of positive coefficients and number of negative coefficients in normal form of any quadratic form. Are you happy? So in solution I am writing that if number of positive terms and number of negative terms in normal form, canonical form of a real quadratic form is P and Q. We are always interested in this. Q respectively, then rank is P plus Q and signature is P minus Q. I hope you are happy. And sum of positive and negative terms, that will be always less than or equal to 3. Because in normal form, either we will have positive term or we will have negative term or we will have coefficient 0 term. Are you happy? So sum of P and Q will be less than or equal to 3. Now see, so simple case. It has 4 cases. Either P plus Q is 3 or P plus Q is 2 or P plus Q is 1. Fine. Or P plus Q is 0. Any doubt? P plus Q equals to 3. That will give you 4 cases. How 4 cases? You are starting with 3, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1, 2 or 0, 3. Any doubt? P plus Q equals to 2. That will give you how many cases? 3 cases. Which cases 3? That will be case number 1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 0, 2. Any doubt? P plus Q equals to 1. That will give you how many cases? 2. And what will be the cases? Cases will be 1, 0, 0, 1. Now lastly, P plus Q equals to 0. How many cases? 1 case. What will be that one case? That one case is 0, 0. We have mentioned it here because R and S are directly dependent on P and Q, number of positive and number of negative terms. So how many different cases are there? 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, that is 10. So your final answer is 10. Also you can count these values 4, 3, 2, 1, they are 10. Happy with this? So third option is correct. And I hope you are confident. Next question will be question number 10. So please enjoy your number of positive terms and number of negative terms concept. Now we will have question number 10. Look at that question. 10th number it is. For t belonging to R, define mt equals to 1 t 0 1 1 t square 1 1 t square 0 1 1. Then which of the following statements is true? Number 1. Determinant of mt is a polynomial function of degree of degree 3 in t. Second, determinant of mt equals to 0 for all t belonging to R. So simple question. Only thing is discussion about determinant of this mt. Third, determinant of mt is 0 for infinitely many t. Belonging to R. Fourth, determinant of mt is 0 for exactly two t belonging to R. This is your question. Now this is so simple that only thing you have to do to find determinant of mt. So in solution, I don't think that you feel any type of trouble. Determinant of mt, that is determinant of 1 t 0 1 1 t square 0 1 1. How to evaluate? So simple. 1 into 1 minus t square, that is 1 minus t square. No tension. Minus 1 into t. Are you happy? Which is equal to minus t square minus t plus 1. See this. So this is a polynomial of degree 3 in t. That is totally wrong. Then discussion is about this equals to 0. Now this equals to 0 implies t is minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a, that is minus 2. Are you happy? So this equals to 0 implies t takes two values, minus half plus minus under root 5 by 2. So at only two value, determinant is 0. So fourth option is correct. And if one of them is correct, it is part B question. All are totally false. So this was a very, very simple question. And I think there is no headache for you. So this much question we have in part B of linear. Now we will enter into part C. Now come to part C. Heading is this: CSIR December, this much questions and solutions of linear algebra and matrices. In part C, we have first question as question number 2. First question, question number 2. Let me have the question first. But I think you must have written that we are going to be part C. Let us have question number 2. Let T from R4 to R4 be linear transformation with characteristic polynomial x minus 2 to the power 4 and minimal polynomial x minus 2 whole square. Jordan canonical form of T can be Jordan canonical form of T can be I am giving you the options. Number 1, 2 0 0 0 1 2 0 0 0 0 2 0 0 0 1 2. Second, 2 0 0 0 0 2 0 0 0 0 2 0 then 0 0 1 2. Third, 2 0 0 0 0 2 0 0 0 0 2 0 0 0 0 2. Fourth option is 2 0 0 0 1 2 0 0 0 1 2 0 0 0 0 2. Watch this. Now let us start our solution. Cx is x minus 2 to the power 4 and mx is x minus 2 whole square. So in Jordan canonical form of the given matrix what will happen? One block will be of order 2 and remaining two blocks corresponding to eigenvalue 2 will be having size of its block less than or equal to 2. So either second one is 2 or after 2 the next two are 1 1. So we will have how many Jordan canonical forms? 2 Jordan canonical form. In one we are having block size of 2 2, in another block size of 2 1 1. I hope concept is so sound. Now in Jordan canonical form all the eigenvalues are placed along principal diagonal line. No trouble. Are you happy? Now what will happen? That if we take two blocks of size 2, one of the diagonal block will be this, another diagonal block will be this. And along either principal diagonal, super diagonal line or along sub diagonal line you put 1. So here it is, put 1 here, because in your option you can see that at sub diagonal places 1 are put. So put 1 1 here. This is for 2 2 blocks. Are you happy? Look at the options. In here we have one block size of 2, another block size of 2, and along sub diagonal places 1 is placed. So this one is correct one. Any doubt? For the second part you come. For the second part what will happen? We have 2 2 2 2, one block of size 2 and remaining two blocks of size 1. It is this, this and this. Here I will get 1 here and nowhere else 1, and remaining places will be 0. Watch that second one. It is also perfect. In examination hall do nothing. Just watch that one block is of order 2, remaining are of 1 1. Okay. Now see here. In this there is no block of size 2. Each are of size 1 1 1. Cancelled. Here we have one block of size 3. So that 2 sub-diagonal places have 1 and one of size 1. That is also invalid. Because we have only 2 valid cases. 2 blocks of order 2 or 1 block of order 2, remaining 2 blocks of order 1. These are order of diagonal blocks. Any doubt, any trouble, any tension? So first and second options are correct. Next question is question number 5. No question should be left out. Come to question number 5 in part C. Number 5. Let n be greater than or equal to 1 and alpha beta belongs to R with alpha not equal to beta. Suppose n alpha beta equals to Aij is an n cross n matrix such that ai equals to alpha, all diagonal entries alpha, and eij equals to beta for all I not equal to j. For I not equal to j, and 1 is less than or equal to ij, in turn less than or equal to n. Let dn be the determinant of n alpha beta. Which of the following statements are true? Which of the following statements are true? Number 1, dn is equal to alpha minus beta into dn minus 1 plus beta for n greater than or equal to 2. Second, dn upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1 equals to dn minus 1 upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 2 plus beta for n greater than or equal to 2. Third, dn equals to alpha plus n minus 1 times of beta to the power n minus 1 into alpha minus beta for n greater than or equal to 2. Fourth, dn equals to alpha plus n minus 1 beta into alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1 for n greater than or equal to 2. These are your 4 options. Any doubt? I have this much space for solution. For solution part, first of all, you have to write your matrix. Fine. dn is determinant of this matrix. Watch this. What is your matrix n alpha beta? That is matrix of order n with each diagonal entries alpha and non-diagonal entries beta. Fine. After looking at it, you must tell that this matrix is certain times of identity, that is a scalar matrix, plus certain times of matrix having all entries 1, 1, 1. Are you happy? So that concept should be there in your mind. Then evaluation of determinant will become very, very simple for you. Look what I am writing. That this matrix is alpha minus beta times of I, plus beta times of matrix B, or B or beta will be confused, so write C, where matrix C is containing all its entries as 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Are you happy with this? Why? Because each alpha I have written as alpha equals to alpha minus beta plus beta. And from diagonal I have taken alpha minus beta outside. It will become alpha minus beta into I. Then all the places will contain beta. Now after taking beta common, it will give you matrix C. Any doubt? And now see this. This is real symmetric matrix of order n and rank 1. And if we have real symmetric matrix of rank 1, then it has only one non-zero eigenvalue, and that is trace, and remaining eigenvalues are 0. See this. So please write, and please give me a space, because I want to write it with full perfection. Any doubt, any tension, any trouble? See here. So, An alpha beta is equal to alpha minus beta times of I plus beta times of C, where matrix C is this. Again I am writing. I will rub it after that. Here C is real symmetric matrix of order n, and rank of C is equal to 1. So C has n minus 1 eigenvalue 0 and 1 eigenvalue equal to trace of C, which is n here. Are you happy with this? Go on giving me a space. I will give you complete statement. Now, what is determinant of any matrix? That is product of eigenvalues of the matrix. So first I will write that An alpha beta, which is equal to alpha minus beta I plus beta C, has one eigenvalue alpha minus beta plus beta times of n and n minus 1 eigenvalues alpha minus beta plus beta times of 0, that is alpha minus beta. Are you happy? Give me a space. Everything will be perfect. So, determinant of n alpha beta, that is denoted by dn, that will be equal to product of eigenvalues of n alpha beta. So that is alpha minus beta plus beta n into alpha minus beta how many times? N minus 1 times. Are you happy? Which is alpha plus beta into n minus 1 or n minus 1 beta into alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1. I hope there is no doubt in it. How much pleasant you are, you watch. So, dn equals to this 1 times, this n minus 1 times, correct? Vice versa, incorrect. But again, a recursive formula has been asked. What is relation between dn and dn minus 1? And that is a trivial thing. See how fastly I will do. But dn is okay. How to evaluate is okay. So first feel comfortable. Again I am writing dn is alpha plus n minus 1 times of beta into alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1. And if dn is this, what is dn minus 1? Just replace n by n minus 1. That is a very trivial thing. Alpha plus n minus 2 times of beta into alpha minus beta to the power n minus 2. Because n is replaced by n minus 1. So n minus 1 minus 1, that is n minus 2. Now they have asked you something like this, that dn is equal to what? And you see, I am writing here, dn upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1, that is equal to alpha plus n minus 1 beta. Any doubt? How fastly I am writing this. And dn upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 2 is equal to alpha plus n minus 2 beta. There is only difference of beta. So this implies after subtraction dn upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1 minus dn upon alpha minus beta to the power n minus 2 is RHS subtraction will give you beta. So this is equal to beta plus this. Simple calculation, nothing to bother. So this is your option number 2. But dn is equal to alpha minus beta times of this plus beta, that is totally false, because this will be placed in between. So this is incorrect, this is correct. Or if you are in tensile, then no problem. You can do dn minus alpha minus 1 times of dn minus 1. If I multiply this by alpha minus beta, this by this and subtract, then do you know what will happen? You are going to get this much thing in between as common. If you are interested, let me write. Second is okay. First, before cancelling, I am writing that dn minus alpha minus beta times of dn minus 1. Why I am writing? I am writing for the first option. Fine. If that is beta, it will be correct. But that is not looking as beta. This into this means you have alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1 common, because it will become alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1. So do not waste time in examination hall, please. Then after this common, it will give you alpha plus n minus 1 beta minus alpha plus n minus 2 beta. And that is equal to not only beta, but beta into alpha minus beta to the power n minus 1. So first option is wrong. Watch this. Now, this is 2 and 4th options are correct. Now we are going to give you question number 9. Come to question number 9. This was question number 5. Let us have that. But first I have to rub this. Then I will write your question number 9. Is it okay? Now come to question number 9. Let A belongs to M3R and let capital X be set C belonging to GL3R. Collection of non-singular matrices of order 3 over filled R such that CA, C inverse is triangular. Then number 1, X is 5. Number 2, if X is not equal to 5, then A is not diagonalizable over C. Third, if X is 5, then A is diagonalizable over C. Fourth, if X is equals to 5, then E has no real eigenvalue. Fine. This is your question number 9. Watch this. A is a matrix of order 3 over filled R and set capital X contains those matrices from GL3R. That means C is non-singular matrix of order 3 over filled R. And CA, C inverse is triangular. That means A is triangularizable matrix. And if A is triangularizable matrix, then what happens? CAC inverse will give its diagonal entries as its eigenvalues. So concept should be clear first. Then only solution will become easy. Now let us start solution. But first of all, let me write that CAC inverse, that will give you lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, and whatever is there, I am not interested, because that has become triangular matrix, where lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 are eigen values of E. Are you happy? Now see. If it is told that X is always empty set, if X is not empty, then this will happen. If X is 5, then this will happen, etc. etc. X is containing no C, we triangularize our matrix A. That means eigenvalues of A are not real, because you are working over real field. If all the eigenvalues are real, then it will be 100% triangularizable over C. You just write this. If all eigenvalues, that is Jacobi theorem, if all eigenvalues of A are real, then it is triangularizable over R. And hence, what will happen, that there will be existence of matrix C such that this is going to become triangular matrix. Fine. So if all eigenvalues of A are real, then it is triangularizable over R. So now see. So if A is having all eigenvalues real, then X is non-empty set. Else X is empty set. Else means if all eigenvalues are not real, then it will not be triangularizable over R. So X is phi, that is totally false, because X can be non-empty also, because given matrix can have real eigenvalues, all eigenvalues as real. So first one gone. Now, every time it is asked, when X is not equal to phi, then what will happen? If X is not equal to phi, then A is not diagonalizable over R. There is no guarantee. It may be possible that all three eigenvalues are distinct. If all the three eigenvalues are distinct and real, then not only it will be triangularizable over C, it will be also triangularizable over R. So if X is not phi, when it is not phi, again you tell me, when all the eigenvalues of A are real. So it may be diagonalizable. This is cancelled out. Now if X is equal to phi, then A has no real eigenvalue. Watch this, you will enjoy this. Matrix is of order 3 and it is real matrix. So its characteristic equation will be of degree 3 with real coefficient. And any polynomial of degree 3 with real coefficient must have at least one real root. So A has no real eigenvalue, that is totally false. At least one eigenvalue will be there which is real. So A has either 3 real eigenvalue or 1 real eigenvalue. Are you happy? Because its order is 3. Characteristic equation will be polynomial of degree 3 with real coefficient. And see in the examination hall, if in one stroke you can cancel 3 options, and whether it is multiple choice question or single choice question, this will be 100% correct. But still I will give you proper solution. But these 3 are trivially cancelled out. Now come to the third part. If X is non-empty, X is non-empty. No, in third part we have X empty, please. I am backtracking. If X is empty, let me analyze this third one. X is empty implies all eigenvalues of A are not real. Because if it would have been real, then this is a triangular matrix must exist for some C. So there is no C which can triangularize your matrix over R. That means all eigenvalues are not real. So all eigenvalues of A are not real, but order of A equals to 3, and it is real matrix. So it will have one real eigenvalue and two non-real eigenvalue. And non-real eigenvalue cannot be same because they must be conjugate of each other. They will be conjugate of each other. So E has one real eigenvalue, order is 3, odd order, and remaining two eigenvalues are non-real, and they will be conjugate of each other. So all three eigenvalues of A are distinct. So A is diagonalizable over C. So simple. All eigenvalues are distinct. Simple theory. Hence, A is diagonalizable over C. Happy with this? Enjoy these things. Understand everything very well. So third option is the only option which is correct. Please tick the third option. Only correct option is 3. Ninth number, it is third one. But with full logic. So I hope you must have ticked option number 3. Now come to question number 10. Let T from Cn to Cn be a linear transformation. Here n is greater than or equal to 2. Suppose 1 is the only eigenvalue of T. Which of the following statements are true? Number one, t to the power k is not equal to I for any k belonging to n. Second, t minus I to the power n minus 1 equals to null. Third, t minus I to the power n equals to null. Fourth, t minus I to the power n plus 1 equals to 0. These are your four options. Watch this. And then I will start my solution. Read your statement carefully. T is a linear transformation from Cn to Cn. Find dimension of your vector space over which operator has been taken is n. Suppose 1 is the only eigenvalue of T. 1 is the only eigenvalue of T. That means 1 is only eigenvalue of T implies characteristic polynomial of T is Cx equals to x minus 1 to the power n. Fine, because order of T will be n. So it will have n eigenvalues and all eigenvalues are 1. So x minus 1 factor will appear n times, so that this equals to 0 gives you 1, 1, 1 exactly n times. Now, by Cayley-Hamilton theorem, Ct will be null matrix. Are you happy? Every square matrix satisfies its characteristic equation, which implies T minus I to the power n is equal to null. Before that power, it will be null or not, it is not guaranteed. And if this is null, then any power higher than n, that is multiply both sides by T minus I, that will be also null. Are you happy? So third and fourth options are correct, but second need not be correct. Now it is asked that T to the power k is equal to I for any k belonging to n. This is not equal to I, that is asked. Do you know? If I take my transformation matrix T as identity, also all its eigenvalues are 1. Then what will happen? This implies T to the power every natural number will become identity. So this is not equal to I for any k belonging to n, cannot be guaranteed. Fine, it may be possible if I take my T as identity transformation. All n eigenvalues are 1. So please cancel it out in your examination hall. T equals to I is contradiction for 1. Fine. So now let us come to the next question. Let me rub this first. Next question is question number 11. Come to that. Question number 11 you write. Which of the following statements regarding quadratic forms in three variables are true? Number one, any two quadratic form of rank 3 are isomorphic over R. Second, any two quadratic forms of rank 3 are isomorphic over C. Third, there are exactly three non-zero quadratic forms of rank less than or equal to 3 up to isomorphism. And fourth, up to isomorphism over C. That is also here. Fourth one is there are exactly three non-zero quadratic forms, of rank 2 up to isomorphism over R and C. This is your question number 11. It is quadratic form over three variables. Just enjoy this. First two statements are so trivial. Any two quadratic forms of rank 3 are isomorphic over R. That is totally wrong. Because for first option, I am writing your solution here. what will happen? Rank is 3, but index and signature, they may be different. Suppose two positive terms are there and one negative terms are there. Still rank is 3. Then index will become 2, signature will become 1. Now, if one positive term and two negative term are there, then index will become 1 and signature will become -1. So they are not isomorphic to each other. Isomorphism means number of positive terms, number of negative terms, they will be identical. Are you happy? Because over R, we have isomorphic quadratic forms. If they have same rank, same signature, same index, that means same positive terms, same number of negative terms. So only rank are equal, that is not valid. But over C, two quadratic forms are equivalent if they are of same rank. So over C, no trouble. Over R, a big trouble. Over C, we require only that rank should be C. So first is wrong, but second is totally correct. Happy? Then comes, there are exactly 3 non-zero quadratic forms of rank less than or equal to 3 up to isomorphism over C. Non-zero quadratic form, watch it. In non-zero quadratic form, rank will be either 1 or 2 or 3. So all the quadratic forms of rank 3, they are isomorphic. All the quadratic form of rank 2, they are isomorphic. All the quadratic form of rank 1, they are isomorphic. Over C, because over C, we require only rank. We require only rank. And watch in the option, non-zero quadratic form. So a non-zero quadratic form can be of rank. You can write your statement also. Non-zero quadratic form over 3 variables is of rank 1, 2 or 3. Exactly 3 cases. So there are exactly 3 non-zero quadratic form of rank less than or equal to 3 up to isomorphism over C. Yes, correct. Now there are exactly 3 non-zero quadratic form of rank 2 up to isomorphism over R and C. This statement tells that no, it is incorrect. Because of rank 2, there will be only 2 cases in C, 1 and 2. Fine? So 3 is for rank less than or equal to 3, not for rank less than or equal to 2. Plus R is also included. R do not justify by rank 2 only. It will take number of positive terms how much, number of negative terms how much. Is it okay? So fourth one is wrong. So second and third options are totally correct. I hope there will be no doubt. Now give me a space so that I can move in the next options, next questions. Next question is question number 30. Let X be a finite dimensional inner product space. over C. Let T from X to X be any linear transformation. Then which of the following statements are true? Very simple question. First, T is unitary implies T is self-adjoint. Second, T is self-adjoint implies T is normal. Third, T is unitary implies T is normal. Last option, T is normal implies T is unitary. Now see, you have already studied about normal matrix. Every unitary matrix, Hermitian matrix, Hermitian is also known as self-adjoint matrix, is Q-Hermitian. Already told about these things. Real orthogonal matrix, real symmetric matrix, real skew symmetric matrix, and diagonal matrices are normal matrices. So this much is the variety of normal matrix. I hope you must be enjoying these things. So T is self-adjoint means T is Hermitian, implies T is 100% normal. T is unitary implies T is normal. But T is unitary, this implies T is self-adjoint, need not be correct. Because unitary matrix need not be Hermitian matrix. You are full of examples. You don't have to bother. Are you happy with this? For example, one contradiction I will give you. A equals to iota, iota, 0, 0. Sum of the squares of the modulus of element in each row is equal to 1. And this into this conjugate plus this into this conjugate is 0. This is unitary, but it is not Hermitian, because diagonal entries of Hermitian matrices are always real. Happy with this? So unitary implies Hermitian, that is incorrect. Fine. Normal implies unitary. No. Normal matrices are also Hermitian, skew Hermitian, real symmetric, real skew symmetric, real orthogonal, etc., etc. So this is also one. So only second and third options are correct. Why it is correct, that should be clear. Now let us move to the next question. This was question number 13, and now you have a last question, that is question number 18. Question number 18, last one. Which of the following statements are true? Number one, any two quadratic forms of same rank in n variables over R are isomorphic. Number two, any two quadratic forms of same rank in n variables over C. It is over C now. Are isomorphic. Third, any two quadratic forms in n variables are isomorphic over C. Fourth, a quadratic form in four variables may be isomorphic to a quadratic form in 10 variables. Fine. Let us start its solution. Again, it is theoretical, so no trouble at all. Any two quadratic forms of same rank in n variables over R are isomorphic. That is totally false. Because only rank should not be equal, but number of positive terms and number of negative terms should be also equals. Along with rank, either index is same or signature is same. So over R, same rank and same signature implies equivalent. Not only rank can justify this. So first option gone. This question has been repeated, you can say. There it was for 3 variables, it is for n variables. Any two quadratic forms of same rank in n variables over C, over field of complex number, we only require same rank. So over C, same rank implies equivalent. Are you happy? Second one is totally correct. Happy with this? Any two quadratic forms in n variables are isomorphic over C. No, no. If their rank are same, then only they are equivalent. If rank is different, they need not be isomorphic to each other. So over C, rank are different implies not equivalent. So not isomorphic. Next, any quadratic form in 4 variables may be isomorphic to a quadratic form in 10 variables. No trouble. If I take one quadratic form q x1, x2, x3, x4 equals to x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square plus x4 square. See, all the 4 terms are positive. 4 positive terms, no negative term, no zero term. No trouble. We watch only positive and negative. To get rank and signature should be same. And let us take another quadratic form, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6, x7, any number of variable you take, x8, x9, x10, which is x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square plus x4 square. And remaining powers of xi have coefficient 0. If you want to put, you can put 0 x5 square, 0 x6 square, 0 x7 square plus 0 x8 square plus 0 x9 square plus 0 times of x10 square. Then do you know Q and P have same number of positive terms and same number of negative terms in their canonical form. Are you happy? So I have placed here P and Q have same rank and same signature. So P is isomorphic to Q. Is it okay? We put it like this. They are equivalent. So a quadratic form in 4 variables can be equivalent to a quadratic form in 10 variables, 20 variables, 30 variables, 6 variables, etc., etc. Same rank, same signature. I can also give you that they have rank 4. They have signature 4. This is a small r, this is a small s. And you know Sylvester law of inertia, which says that two real quadratic form, they will be equivalent over R if they have same rank and same signature. So even if you want to write, you can write by Sylvester law of inertia. They are equivalent. So these were the questions of linear algebra and matrices in CSIR December 15, 2019 paper, and I have given you all the questions as well as its proper solution. So you must get through it and get through all the concept which has been used here. So thank you and all the best.